content I've done already before in both Illustrator, Photoshop, and InDesign, but I don't think I have ever done this in Photoshop for a tutorial, so it's definitely worth recording. So I'm going to choose my typeface that I want, and a moment ago while I was preparing to start recording, I deleted that layer I had of the text, okay? So I'm going to click, and I've already chosen my font size. I've messed around with that before I started recording, so when I type BELIEVE, I know it's the right size and it's the right font, and I'm good with that. Okay. Then the next step is I'll switch to the Move tool, otherwise known in my mind as the regular selection tool, and going to the Type menu. Because I am targeted on this layer, and it is important to be targeted on that layer, I can go to the type layer itself and turn that into a path, create work path. Now, when I create that work path, because I just did this a moment ago when I was not recording, it always will name a new path work path. If you want to make sure it doesn't disappear, Photoshop does want you to give that a specific name. So I'm going to double click and I'll call this one Believe Path 2 and click OK. And so I really don't need the old one. You can see it's not in exactly the same position. I mean, I could keep it, but yeah. So I'll just delete it to show you there. Now it's gone. And I only have this one, Believe Path 2. And if I hide the Believe text, the Believe path, which I renamed from Work Path, is there in all its glory. To edit the vector elements that now exist in this path called Believe Path 2, you need to use the tool that lives underneath the pen tool, which is very much like, if not exactly the same tool, as the Illustrator Direct Selection tool. And with this tool, I can, white arrow is what it looks like, I can click and drag over areas of my text to just select those points. And in this case, I have 4 points, about 4 points it looks like, that I can then move with the arrow keys. And here I'm showing you how to move this top of this letter L by holding the shift key down and moving the arrow key up. So it's moving 10 pixels at a time. If I wanted to change the angle maybe slightly, I could move it, let's say, 1 pixel to the left, 2 pixels to the left. But again, holding the shift key down moves it 10 pixels at a time, 10 pixels back, 1, 2 pixels back. Okay? Yes? Because you're not clicking and dragging over some specific points. Look at my text. It's only selected on these characters. All right? You're welcome. So here I can increase the height of these ascenders. But I want to do something even kookier with that in a bit. So here with the letter I, I'm going to increase the height of that. And then I want to change it a lot. So I'm going to zoom in. This is kind of an advanced thing, so I'll give you a moment and then I'll ask you to look up. Again, talk about how I'm going to start turning this into a drip. First by adding some pen points using the Add Anchor Point tool. I'm going to add 2 points here and maybe 2 points here. And then switching to the Direct Selection tool, I'm going to move in some of these points to create a kind of a drippy look. And then I know that if I want to make this a rounder drip and smoother, I probably don't need this many points. And so that's where this one, Delete Anchor Point tool, comes in, and I'm going to click to remove too many anchor points there. Did I get it? Can't seem to get it, so I'm going to zoom in and try it again. There. Now it looks really weird. I could undo Command Z. White arrow tool or direct selection. Click and drag the points. See, this is an extra there or something, a handle. This looks kind of all wacky. You're going to need to move the points themselves, adjust the handles, and I know it's probably, less than perfect, but this gives you the general idea of my drip that I want to create. So any shape can be achieved by altering the initial original path of the working path that you rename to the proper name so that it doesn't get lost. And now I'm really happy with my path. So if I zoom out, there's where the path is. The color of the path, which is blue, the same color as the background. If I double click this guy here, I cannot change the color of that. Panel options, but I can make it bigger so you can see that this is my Believe path 2. To turn this on as a selection, I will click down here on the marching ants icon. That turns that into a selection. And then I could either fill it with paintbrushes, key commands. I'll use the edit fill method. What am I doing? I want to make sure I'm on the proper layer. That's why it's not working. So I need to be over here, again on layers, adding a new layer. And then I can fill this, edit fill. Didn't have a new layer, so it wouldn't let me fill it. Can't fill it on the type layer. And now it's filled with white. And it is a separate thing than its original friend. Here's the original, and here is the now filled edited text.